Vanakkam Dohadeva and everyone. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, we will share the screen. October 2nd in Singapore. Here we are. And we hope some of our Mauritian devotees who are busy at their Sun 1 Ganapati Homa this morning will be able to see the recording. Well, we're continuing with karma, drawing from the Karma Management chapter from our book, What is Hinduism?, which has the subtitle, Step-by-Step Guide to Help You Effectively Deal with Your Karma. So again, the this one is 3, so I'll wait on it. There's 3 aspects of karma that is going to divide everything into. So we'll let the text do that. This is additional material. We covered everything else in the chapter in the previous Zoom satsangs. And we're covering what's actually the first part of the chapter last, because it's all the theory, whereas the practice is the last part. The concept of karma has spread beyond the confines of the Asian religions that conceived it to become a core concept of today's yoga and New Age movements. It is now mentioned regularly on American mainstream television programs and in the movies. Last year, in discussing the concept with a junior college class in Hawaii, a student expressed contemporary culture's astute definition of karma as, what goes around comes around. Very nice. Unfortunately, most individuals' understanding of karma is at best limited to thinking about it as an abstract principle without applying it to their own life. This is equivalent to a student's learning and understanding all the laws of nutrition, being able to get an A on any test on the subject, but following a personal diet of junk food 3 times a day. I like that one. What he learned is not influencing how he lives. Oh, now we get the 3-step process. The study of karma is effectively approached in a 3-step process. First, dispelling misconceptions about karma. Second, acquiring a correct intellectual understanding of karma's key concepts. Third, managing your own karma by utilizing the correct understanding of karma to refine your actions and reactions in life. So it's the third one that we've been focusing on so far, managing your own karma by utilizing the correct understanding of karma to refine your actions and reactions in life. Because that was the nature of the question that came in. So we answered the question first. Now we're looking at the first 2. So we'll start with number 1, dispelling common misconceptions. We will look at 2. You have no doubt heard the most common false concept about karma on a number of occasions. It goes something like this. Nothing but bad things happen to me. It's my karma. And even when I strive to do better, my striving has no effect upon it. So why should I even try to make my life amount to anything? It's totally, truly hopeless. So the question to you, why is this a misconception? Why do we need to reject it? This misconception must be rejected for two important reasons. The first is that we can actually change our karma through the principles of effective karma management, mitigation, and elimination. The second is that how we live in this life creates the karma we face in our future lives. So why not consciously use the law of karma to create a future that is filled with pleasant experiences rather than painful ones? Second common false concept about karma, which you've also probably heard, goes something like this. My life is in a state of chaos. Everything is going wrong, and it all started 3 months ago when Saturn entered Taurus and my karma changed. I have been advised that if I can successfully appease Saturn through having a priest, do regular Shani Puja, my problems will go away. Therefore, that has become the entire focus of my religious life at this time. Why is this one a misconception? An active bird in the background. The fallacy of this attitude is that yes, karmic difficulties indicated by your astrology can be mitigated, but not simply by paying a priest to do Shani Puja. If that is all you are doing to work with your situation, that's not enough. In working through the trying times of life, your primary powers are willpower, devotion, and understanding. Such karma can be mitigated through specific actions performed by the individual, such as those described in part 3 of this presentation, which we already did, but not merely by giving over such duties to others. Second reason this misconception must be rejected is that it attributes the cause of our problems to the planet Saturn, rather than to our own actions in the past. It is like pleading with the jailer to release you from your cell simply because being incarcerated is an unpleasant experience, having forgotten about the crime you committed that put you in prison in the first place. Planets don't determine your karma, and neither do the actions of others. It is self-created, and you are the source of it all, good, bad, and mixed. So that's the important point, is we don't want to think that this is all coming arbitrarily from Shani. It's not. It's coming from you. Shani just released it. Or in our analogy of seeds, it's a seed that Shani has to start sprouting. But you created the seed, and it's going to sprout at some time, and the time it sprouts isn't really crucial. It needs to happen unless you can eliminate it, or at least mitigate it. So that's the important point here. I like to say astrology choreographs our karma, meaning it gives a little bit of good, a little bit of bad, a little bit of good, a little bit of bad. It spreads it out in a nice way, so we don't get 60 years in a row of bad karma. That would be a bit overwhelming. But we do need to live through the difficult periods and look at them as self-created and subject to mitigation and elimination. The second step in learning about karma is to correctly understand the key concepts involved, of which there are 10. Okay, definition. I didn't ask a question on this, it's so simple. The first concept is the meaning of the word karma. So the word karma itself means action or deed. So just the word karma by itself has nothing to do with the law of action and reaction. Karma can be used in a very general sense. I did this action. I did this karma. Karma yoga, yoga of action. So it's a very general word when it doesn't have any other words that come with it. In English, we say the law of karma. I'm not sure how that's commonly stated in Sanskrit. But now we have law of karma. So it's a specific use of the term karma as relating to a law. And of course, the law refers to the law of action and reaction. It's called the law of cause and effect. What we sow, we shall reap in future lives. Benevolent actions, punya karma or sukarma, will bring loving reactions. Selfish, hateful acts, papa karma or kukarma, will bring suffering. Every action that we perform in life, every word we speak, even every thought that we think has its reaction. So even great yanis, every action they do has a reaction, but it comes back to them immediately. So they don't have a storehouse of unresolved karma. They act, the reaction comes back. Third is the concept of a system of justice. And this one's a good question to you. What does it mean to call karma a system of justice? The law of karma is the divine self-governing system of justice that automatically creates the appropriate future experience in response to the current action. However, unlike the justice systems of a country, which only punish the misdeeds of those who are caught, tried, and found guilty, karma punishes misdeeds and rewards good deeds, whether they are known or not. Oh, in Western religions, you have the idea that God rewards and punishes. So this is I look at it like a computer program. God created a computer program called the law of karma, did one thing, and then that takes care of all the rewards and punishments. He doesn't have to think about it after that. Very efficient way of handling it. For example, if a man robs a bank and is never caught, no punishment is received through man's law. However, he will inevitably face the consequences of his crime through the law of karma. Similarly, the good deed of giving money regularly but anonymously to a charity will be rewarded even though no one knows the giver's name. And some people really prefer to give in that way, totally unknown. Fourth is the concept of karma as our teacher. And again, the question to you, what does it mean to call karma our teacher? What's it trying to teach us? Through understanding the consequences of their actions, individuals sooner or later learn to refrain from committing a particular misdeed. Any good system of justice does not want repeat offenders. It wants individuals to understand the error of their ways and reform their behavior. So that's what it teaches us. It teaches us what it feels like to be the recipient of the action we did. Does it make the person feel better? Does it make the person feel worse? Does it help the person's life? Does it hinder the person's life? We're learning that through experiencing it ourselves. Because obviously, if it's a negative point, we didn't understand it. And then we have Alexander Pope's famous phrase that to err is human, to forgive is divine. We can adapt his adage and say to err is human, but to err only once is divine, meaning those who are striving to live a religious life, those who are striving to live a religious life are self-reflective and learn quickly from their mistakes. That is my tendency to trip over an L and an R when they're next to each other. This is what we mean by saying karma is our teacher. It teaches us to refine our behavior, hopefully sooner rather than later. One way to tell a young soul from an old soul is to observe how quickly he learns karma's lessons in life. So that's the goal of a spiritual individual, is we only make a mistake once. We learn and we figure out a way to respond differently in that same situation next time. Fifth is the concept of individual karma. Karma also refers to our individual karma that we carry from life to life, both the karma to be resolved in this life and the karma to be resolved in a future life. To understand this better, let us reflect again on the criminal justice system. Justice is known for moving slowly. It can take a number of years before a convicted criminal receives his punishment. The law of karma is even slower. The consequences of fruits of action, known as karma pala, may not come for a number of lifetimes. Thus, the karma we are born with is comprised of rewards and punishments from many past lives that have yet to manifest and are yet to be resolved. Sixth is the idea of three types of karma, three categories of karma, and the question for you, what are they? Sanskrit terms. Three types: Sanchita, Prarabdha, Kriyamana. Sanchita is the sum total of past karmas yet to be resolved. It's everything. Prarabdha is that portion of Sanchita Karma scheduled to be experienced in the present life, shaping its events and conditions, including the nature of our bodies, personal tendencies, and associations. Kriyamana is karma you are presently creating. While some Kriyamana karmas bear fruit in the current life, others are stored for future births. Seventh is the idea of astrology indicating the patterns. We touched on this a bit before. Prarabdha Karma determines one's time of birth, which dictates one's astrology, which in turn delineates the individual life pattern by influencing the release of these karmas. Thus, an individual will experience certain astrological periods as difficult and other periods as auspicious and positive. Astrology does not dictate our karma. Rather, our karma determines our astrology. So understanding our horoscope helps us knowledgeably manage our karma as it rises to be faced. And as you know, when it comes to astrology, we're not reading every morning the astrology for the day and acting accordingly. In terms of personal astrology, it's good to know the nakshatra, that type of astrology, but not the personal astrology. That's too detailed. We need broader patterns, 3-year patterns, 6-year patterns, not daily. And it's particularly important for major events. We don't want to put our life savings in a new business right at the beginning of a difficult period. Poor timing. So for major changes in life, moving from one place to another, buying a home, not just renting necessarily, the major decisions in life, of which there's not a lot, changing jobs, it's good to know if we're in a positive or negative period. Eighth is the idea of active and inactive. Sanchita, Prarabdha, and Kriyamana karmas can each be divided into two categories: Arabdha, begun or undertaken karma that is sprouting, and Anarabdha, not commenced, dormant or seed karma. An analogy can be drawn to a garden in which a variety of seeds have been planted. Some types of plants will sprout in a few days, Others will take weeks, and still others lie dormant for months. Similarly, some of our karmas will manifest in the next few years, some toward life's ends, and others in a future life. Ninth is the concept of creating our own future. Our actions in the present are creating what we will experience in the future, even in future lives. The point here is that when we think of karma, we tend to think of the past. We reflect upon the rewards and punishments from the past that are yet to manifest and what we must have done to create them. However, we must also think about our future in this life and lives to come. Our actions in the present are influencing that future, making it pleasant or unpleasant. Therefore, before acting, a wise person reflects on the action's karmic consequences and thereby consciously molds his future. Resolving karma is 10th. Ultimate future to consider is liberation from the cycle of birth and death, samsara. As long as we have karmas to resolve, we will be reborn on earth. Thus, individuals who are intent upon spiritual progress take the creation and resolution of karma quite seriously. Not only do they strive to act wisely in the present, they perform extra religious practices to rid themselves in this life of karmas that would normally only manifest in future lives. This is a profound practice performed by sagacious sannyasins especially. It doesn't have to be just sannyasins, but as we mentioned in a recent Zoom satsang, the sannyasa ashrama is also good. When we have more time, we can do more sadhana and focus more on eliminating karmas. That is the end of karma for quite a few months, I believe. Second topic, got some new questions to satsang@hindu.org. When I was traveling recently, quite a few came in, so I'll try and catch a few more of them up next time. This is a karma one, but it's different. How is karma made and quickly resolved in the Antarloka by the disembodied soul? All actions create karma. So an action as a disembodied soul in the Antarloka creates the same karma it would if done in the Bhuloka. No difference. The same idea applies to quickly resolving a karma. Just as it is true in the Bhuloka, the more sadhana we do in the Antarloka, the quicker the karma is resolved. And a different one. What are the circumstances where we can lie? So when it comes to truthfulness, that type of thing, the Tirukural is our best resource. Verse 2 in truthfulness. See if it'll show up here. It doesn't want, there it is. Even falsehood is of the nature of truth if it renders good results free from fault. So the results have to be good, faultless. That's the way of judging. So what are some examples? In a professional capacity, an astrologer is not supposed to speak out every negative aspect of a chart, as it would be too discouraging, so he would leave out or lessen some parts. Likewise, a doctor would not automatically tell every problem to a patient, as it could discourage the patient too much and lead to severe depression. It just tells what the patient really needs to know. Third topic, joyfulness, 34th character quality. From our workbook. And as usual, we'll let you define it first. How would you define joyfulness? It's a pretty easy one. Workbook gives this definition. Joyfulness means being positive and happy. I develop this virtue when I maintain a jubilant, cheerful attitude in all situations, even the most challenging. The opposite is sadness. Though the common point of view is, well, how can I be happy when this, and this is happening? But we actually have a choice. Joyfulness is there within us, and even in challenging situations, we can experience that state of consciousness. And quotes from Gurudeva, the joy we seek is the joy of fullness, lacking nothing. Life is meant to be lived joyously. That's one of, I'm sure, everyone's favorite quotes from Gurudeva. There is in much of the world the belief that life is a burden, a feeling of penitence, that it is good to suffer, good for the soul. In fact, spiritual life is not that way at all. That is the Hindu concept of religion. We're not supposed to suffer. We're not supposed to feel guilty. If we feel guilty, for example, for something we did in the past, we need to do a prayaschitta to get rid of the sense of guilt and return to our natural state of joyfulness. So Hinduism gives us tools to get back to our innate joyfulness. Look into your mirror. Your reflection is your subconscious mind objectified. Very profound. Find out what is holding you back. Face yourself and find out what is keeping you from expressing the great things which are within you, here and now. And the last quote, learn to work for work's sake, joyfully, for all work is good. And our comparison, the actions of one who is joyful to one who is sad. He looks pretty sad. First situation, when your grandparents say they're taking you on an outing to the forest, you, joyfulness, dance with delight at the prospect of spending time among the trees. Sadness, fall into a negative mood knowing Grandpa is going to tell all his stories again. Muladhara. Situation, falling from your bike and scraping your knee, you, joyfulness. Strangely find yourself rejoicing that your leg is not broken. Things could be worse. Sadness, curse the tire for falling, for failing, and getting depressed about it all. Third situation, when fixing a motorbike turns out to be more difficult than planned, you, joyfulness. Joyfully pursue the task as an opportunity to develop willpower. Sadness, become discouraged by your limited mechanical abilities. And you can take a moment to identify a few ways in which you could improve in joyfulness. Look for situations that you tend to be sad in. And assignment. These next 2 weeks, look for ways to express joy to yourself and when with others. End of presentation. Oh.